Hello, namaste. Thanks for your patience. I'm just moving a few things. So it's lovely to be here. Take a nice deep breath. Oh, I didn't realise you could see nearly all my back of my drawing here. Let me move that. I'll go like that a little bit. So welcome. Thanks so much for joining me. My son just popped in for a visit. He's staying with his girlfriend pretty much at the moment, so I don't get to see him much. So just said hello to him and popped in. So I'm a little bit late. I'm sorry if you have been waiting and this is inconvenienced you, but I trust that I'm here at the right time. So welcome. I'm here to host my monthly healing event for some of my patrons. These are my $50 a month patrons. Hello. Yes, it is. Hi, Debbie. And so I've got 4 people on my healing list today. I'll be connecting with each of those people individually for 5, 10, 15 minutes, depends on what we need to do and what comes forward. So this is a specific focused event for specific people. So now I think about it, I think it's about the only one that I do that's focused like this. So I trust too that because I'm sharing this publicly, that if you're not one of those people, or if you are and I'm connecting with one of the other 3, that I trust that something that's shared will resonate with you and will maybe be appropriate or connect with something that's going on for you in your life. I've been hosting these sorts of things for a very long time. I used to do them. Hi, KantiDevi. I used to share them through internet radio years and years and years ago. And it's uncanny the amount of people who I'm not actually connecting to who contact me and say, that was just what I needed to hear. So I've found over the last decade or more, since I've been hosting these types of things publicly through internet radio or through live video stream, I trust that the people that need to be here and the people that need to hear something will be led here. So I trust that you being here and you connecting at this time. Hi, Rachel. I trust that it's not an accident. So please don't be disappointed if I'm not specifically connecting with you. But if it was me, I would be sitting here being open to just listening and feeling, opening my heart and hearing what I need to hear at this time. Now, those of you on my healing list, thank you so much for your support. So on my healing list today, we do have KantiDevi. Hi, KantiDevi. We've got David Magnus, Carol White, and Courtney Smith. So I have your names in my little raku pot and all folded up in here. So I'm going to pick your names at random. And then I'm going to pull a healing energy card for you. And I'm going to tune in. So tune in, when I say tune in, it's sort of a little bit hard to explain. It's a little bit hard to explain or describe, but you know, I feel that we are all plugged in potentially to like a universal mind, a universal grid, or a connection of some sort. So over the years, over the decades, actually, I've been fine tuning the way I tune in. So I'm really highly sensitive to energy. And I just need to think of the person that I'm connecting with, and it's like I can connect with them. So how I do that is actually, because I know my body and my energy signature, if you like, really, really well. I know how I normally feel, that when I connect with people, I often just instantly start picking up things in my body that I know is not my stuff. And I get visions and flashes and different things that play out depending on what is loudest for that person I'm connecting with. So I'll tune in and I'll describe everything that I'm picking up. We'll do some work together as needed. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I have no idea anytime what I'm going to be doing. It's just very much a trust in the unfolding and just letting things reveal themselves. So that's what I'll be doing. So I'll pull a healing energy card, we'll connect, tune in, and then towards the end of that tuning in, I'll pull an Animal Kingdom Oracle card to just add whatever might need to be added or confirm whatever might need to be confirmed. So before I start, I'm going to play my crystal singing bowl. I'm going to play this for us all just to help clear our space. So I'm thinking we'll use the singing bowl to help, and the sound to help release our worries, our worries, our pressures, our stresses, the negative thoughts that we may have been thinking, the things going on in our life that we're bringing into this space with us. So think about, as you're listening to the singing bowl, especially at the beginning, of taking some big deep breaths and surrendering your stresses, your worries, the pressures that you're dealing with on a day-to-day level. If you need to, just imagine you've got a box outside the door of wherever you are, and imagine putting all the stuff you've got to do out in that box just to free you up to be in this space as fully as possible. So clearing really, and then using the bowl to help us connect. So expand then ourselves, expand our aura if you like, but help ourselves connect with ourselves, spirit, what have you. So I'm going to play the singing bowl for a couple of minutes. Take a nice deep breath. There's nothing you can do wrong, so just at the very least listen. Let the sound touch you. Work with your breathing. Think about letting your worries go. Let's take a nice big breath. And imagine all of your worries, your stresses, your pressure that you've been under. Imagine that moving away from you as you breathe out and let that go, that stuff. And as you let that sort of everyday clutter go, you make room in your being for yourself to expand and connect. So as you let the pressures go, imagine inflating yourself like you're a balloon, filling yourself up with life force, with creativity, with abundance, with love. Okay, thank you. This is a crystal quartz singing bowl. It's pretty new. I haven't had it for long. And it's for the throat. It's the blue colour. I just realised too, I'm totally in green. I've got green socks, green leggings, green top. So green to me is very healing colour. So let's see who we're going to be connecting with first. So these people are my $50 patrons. Thank you. Hi, Tammy. It's beautiful, isn't it? So the first person I'm connecting with for our healing event today is David Magnus. So David, I'm not sure if you're watching, David. Thank you. So David, take a nice big breath. We'll grab a healing energy card for you, and then I'll tune in and we'll see what is loudest in your vibration. So what's loudest is going to get my attention first. I don't hold back with sharing anything because I don't feel it's my place to hold back information and decide or filter and think that you're not ready to hear something. I don't feel that that's my responsibility. I feel and trust that if it's not something that you need to know, then I'm not going to be shown or I'm not going to sense it. So I'm going to be, like always, completely honest with what I'm picking up and interpret what I'm picking up as best as I can. Sometimes I need to feel around for the best word or where we're going with something. Anyway, if I tried to hold anything back, it would stop the flow of energy because I've got to share or I've got to acknowledge what I'm picking up so it will move to the next thing. Okay, David, your healing energy card is Time Tunnels, card 17. So this talks about traveling through to the past, if you like, but also we can think of the timeline going forward into the future to help free up your old hurt, your past stuff that's happened that's been holding you back, freeing and unlocking that. It sort of feels like there's a time lock of some sort, of something that happened in the past that you can pin back to a certain date, maybe a certain time, and exactly what was going on for you at that time. So there's a feeling here of something from the past that wants to be unlocked. So let's see. So take a nice big breath. And David, we'll see what. So I'm going to put that information I've shared aside and just be open to what's loudest in your vibration. Okay, the first thing I'm seeing and picking up are two arrows, one going that direction and one going that direction. So there's a feeling here of being pulled at, or we could say stretched thin, of focusing this way, focusing that way. And it sort of reminds me too of the timeline that I was talking about, the past and the future. So this kind of going in two directions, if you like. And I really feel that there's a strong connection here with the past. And by unlocking this past thing that's sort of getting my attention here, by unlocking this past time lock, is actually going to free you up to move forward. So instead of trying to move forward, yet this wound from the past keeps making you look back. It's a bit like, at times when we're really trying to heal or move forward from something and we're trying to focus on, our freedom, our forward momentum that we're making, yet we get to a certain point and then we always seem to our attention keeps being drawn back to the past or back to a fear or something. So there's only so much forward momentum we can take, if you like, when we're being pinned back to the past. And it really is a pinning back. It sort of reminds me a bit of, like a dog on a chain, and say the dog saw a bone over there, but it couldn't quite reach it because the chain's length wouldn't let it get to the bone. So we can only go as far as the length of the chain. And it's a bit like that when we're pinned to something in the past. So we might have all great intentions of feeling freedom and moving forward and getting on with our life, but sometimes we do need to look back at what happened, the lesson in that, so that we can really understand it at a deeper level, so we can unpin ourselves, so we can then move forward. So there's a chain here, something that's pinned to the past that I'm feeling for you, David. As I tune into this energy that I'm feeling and what's going on in your body, I feel very much drawn to your sacral chakra. So your sacral chakra is just below your navel and it's your emotional center. So that feels to me like there's old emotional stuff that's connected with this pinning of the past. And also I'm being drawn to your solar plexus chakra. So this tells me there's a loss of personal power. So we could say a fear perhaps that's connected with this, but definitely a loss in personal power. And I'm starting to feel a bit nauseous in the belly, which is actually a good sign. That tells me this energy wants to move up. This doesn't mean I'm going to vomit everywhere, I can tell you, but that nauseousness sort of feeling just tells me that that stuff stored down in your belly wants to come up now. There's a strange feeling here around the side of your head. This is the left side. I'm not sure if it's mirrored on YouTube. I don't think it is. The left side here, there's an odd feeling here, like a pressure, a heaviness, a pushing, a change in energy around here, very subtly, but I'm picking that up. And also around the back of your neck. So there's probably a back of or a throat connection here around the back, connected with the past, connected with communication, suppression perhaps, or suppression of your truth, who you are. So let's travel back in time. I sort of feel like I'm running, like legs are running in high speed, back on your timeline to the point where this chain is pinned or nailed into the ground. It's pinned in here, it's locked back. I'm feeling a heaviness coming through your left side, so a weighing down and almost a pulling back energetically in your body, which is holding you back in the past. So this is coming up because you've been wanting to move forward. There's stuff that you've been wanting to progress with or improve or free yourself from. And that desire, that intention for forward movement has actually stirred up this old past thing. So this is actually a really good thing because it shows to me that you're progressing, that you're wanting to move forward. Otherwise, this wouldn't come up. If you were comfortable in your comfort zone, if you were just sort of back off the pull of that chain and the chain wasn't really loud, then you'd be just holding in your comfortable zone. So you're pushing out of your comfort zone, you're wanting to move forward, and this is a really great sign that that forward movement has triggered a past wound. So let's see what we need to do to unpin this. So I'm seeing a really large bolt or pin or peg. It's probably a bit more like a peg. It's quite long. It's probably about as long as the arm here. And it's angled down, so it looks a bit like a tent peg. And it's pegged in, and it's pegged into this really big chain. And the chain is fresh. It's not rusty, so it's not, I mean, it's from the past. But if it was rusty, then that would be like, you know, something perhaps not alive in your space now. So the freshness, the newness of the chain, to me, makes me think and makes me feel that this is quite a current thing that's happening in your life. So even though it's pinned to the past, you're probably still quite freshly feeling fear or emotion or hurt that's connected or tapped into this. Your left leg's getting my attention now. So there's a holding back feeling here, a feeling of suppression of who you are and not being allowed to be yourself. So because you were suppressed and you weren't allowed to be yourself in around your peers, around your family, around the group or what have you, this feels like a long time past. Because you were suppressed, it feels like a part of you withdrew, that you withdrew yourself. You held back a little bit. You lost a little bit of your light, we could say. And a bit of that little bit of your light, that little bit of yourself, your essence, that little bit that's still back there, that you left there. It's like it's been pinned down under this peg. So if your essence or your light, so if your light now is, let's say, burning at 80% capacity, then your other 20% feels like, you know, a candle flame that's sort of pinned down. If you could pin down a candle flame, like a picture, let's say, of a candle flame, and it's pinned down, pegged down into the past. So we need to let this go or unpin this to bring your light back, your light fully back to yourself, to bring that little part of your essence that you left there, to bring it back. Because you're going to need that, I feel, to move forward where you want to go. Because there's great opening of your path coming up. But it requires 100% of your light. So that's probably part of why this has come up too. So let's unpin, remove this peg and let this chain go that's holding you back and bring this essence back into your heart. So take a nice big breath for me, David. And so what I'm feeling in your body is aching through the back of your sacral chakra, your lower back. This is old emotions. There's a shift here in my voice. So there's a shift here taking place in the throat chakra for you. So this is a recognizing the suppression of who you were or the light of who you are, especially in that past situation, and finding your voice again. So I feel that we're ready to pull the plug. Pull the peg out now. So the peg's new, it's large, and I get at it with both of my hands and pull this up. It feels like pulling a tooth in some ways, pulling it up and up and up. It sort of feels never ending, this big peg, and dropping it down to the earth where it just returns back to love because it's just simply energy. Straight away, this is shifting a lot of energy in your throat, and this chain that was being pegged in place, this chain has just vanished. So the chain has gone now. You're not being limited by this past situation. is the feeling here. And your light, like this flattened two-dimensional drawing or picture of a candle, that sort of 20%, just throwing that out there, of your light, and that's actually growing now. So it's become less flat and inactive, I guess we could say, and it's starting to like be revived again. It's like that, what I was talking about, breathing air back into the balloon, re-inflating ourselves before when I played the singing bowl. So that's starting to get life back into it again. And as it gets life back into it, the life is actually becoming a wholer and more complete part of yourself. So your heart is growing now with this flame, this light, this essence of who you are. I can feel your left side already coming from the past and straightening up into the now, your left arm, your shoulder, and your left hip and leg. And you're ready now to face your future, where you're walking full on with a full, vibrant, radiant heart. So let's grab an Animal Kingdom Oracle card to go with this, David, and see what this wants to add. I trust this resonates. Whew, feels like we've run a bit of a marathon there. Oh, look, Earth Dragon. I love it. 25. It says physical reformation. So this, of course, is one of the master cards of the deck. So it talks about this being a really important time. And it really is. Because if it wasn't an important thing that you were focusing on and wanting to move forward into, this thing wouldn't have revealed itself as a limitation. Now, the Earth Dragon, as it walks the earth, it molds the earth with its claws. So it pushes parts of the earth down and it brings parts of the earth up. So there's this reforming, this remolding that's taking place, not only within your body, but within your life and your life's path. And we've talked a lot about your life's path. So there's a reformation that's taking place as you push down and pull up and remold your life to be the way you want it to be now, in your full light, in your full essence. So the Earth Dragon, a beautiful way to top that off. So thanks, David. I trust this resonates, and thanks so much for your support. Namaste. Now, I will say now, just because I'm thinking about it in case I forget later. For those of you I'm connecting with and anyone else that resonates with what's happening, you might find a lot of healing energy stirred up in you as you connect. So that's quite normal. So I recommend that you drink lots of water, listen to your body, and be kind and gentle to yourself, especially over the next few days as the healing energy settles and integrates. Let's see who's next. The next person is Courtney Smith. So Courtney, take a nice big breath. I might have a drink of water. My lemon tree is full of lemons at the moment. It is beautiful. So this is the second year that, I think last year I had 2 lemons or something. This year I've got a couple of dozen. So enjoying some nice fresh lemon water. There's nothing like fresh lemons picked off the tree. It's certainly so beautiful. So Courtney Smith, take a nice big breath. Courtney, we'll see what or where we want to go with your connection today. We've got self-confrontation. This is a bit of a confronting card, naturally. It wants or encourages us to find courage to look at ourselves in the mirror, to find courage to look at parts of our life that we may have been avoiding. This feels to be, I just feel like this is quite a deep healing that we're going to, that this healing event feels to be quite deep and quite important. So Courtney, I'm just putting that card, the thought of that aside, and I'm just tuning now into your energy, and we'll see what comes up for you. Okay, I'm being drawn straight to your solar plexus chakra, where I feel a stirring up in here of your personal power, a stirring up of fear perhaps, or a stirring up of courage that's required. It also extends through to the back of the solar plexus chakra, So we're looking at around the middle back. So whatever you're dealing with presently that's to do with your personal power, or a test in that, if you like, directly stems back to your past. Because I can feel, I don't know if you can see, I'm kind of putting in here, but the solar plexus shifting here at the front, which is very current and present, that's happening in your life at the moment. There's a almost like a rope, a frayed rope feeling that's coming from the front through your body and pulling out the back. So I can see this dangly frayed rope coming out the back of your solar plexus chakra at the middle of your back. Now this tells me there is a past connection with this loss of power, or this shift in power that's taking place at the moment that you're feeling now. So this could be, like I say, connected with fear, needing to find courage, a suppression or loss of personal power, or giving your power away. So there's something that's triggering now that's directly linked to the past as well. But I'm seeing this as a frayed rope, and the frayed rope's just dangling there. So it's not, doesn't feel like it trails back like with David's. That was, I got that vision of the chain that trailed right back into the pinned point in the past. Whereas this rope feels like it's kind of comes out a foot or so, and it just frays off and just kind of hangs and dangles there. So there's this connection here to the old fear, old loss of personal power that's connected presently with what you're going through now. And this feels confronting. I feel like I could actually find something else to do right now. So I'm feeling some resistance here. But I also feel at the same time that I want to grab this rope. It feels quite thick. It's quite thick, but very frayed. And very frayed at the end. I'm being drawn to your hips. And I feel like your hips, there's a feeling here of a choice to run or a choice to stay put and deal with things heart on, if you like, deal with the confronting nature of what's going on at present. So there's a choice, I feel. Your hips in some moments want to run, but in some moments know that they need to stay. And there does feel like a need to anchor, and almost like your hips are seized at the moment and just want you to experience what's going on now. And this rope, we need to definitely do something with that. So it's pinned actually at the front, behind the front of your solar plexus chakra. It's like it grows out just behind the skin and grows out like this rope fraying off. So we need to definitely release this. This might even be a cord of attachment that has become severed or has become disconnected. There's a lot of blood around where it joins from. So this tells me there is a connection here with the bloodline, with the family in some way. And this feels very raw. So even though it frays off at the back, it's got almost like tentacles at the front. Very bloody, very raw. And a lot of pressure coming in now around the head. So a lot of mental energy too that's coming around with this. Okay. Oh, it feels just very raw in here. So let's just see what we need to do to release this rope. And I just want to refer back to this card. So it says, have courage to look in the mirror, to come out of hiding, love of self, self-reflect, be proud of who you are, be real about how you feel and what you see so you can fully heal. So being proud of who you are feels like that's getting my attention. And really recognizing that you've done the right thing, that the choices that you made in the past were how they needed to be, and you're being encouraged not to be too hard on yourself. but have courage to let yourself feel the vulnerable feelings that you're feeling, and let yourself release this cord of attachment that's connected in the bloodline. It's almost like cutting the apron strings is the feeling here. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're putting people, you're disassociating from people in your life. It's it's sort of a bit more of creating a detachment in a way, but that doesn't take away the care. It just means that we're not giving our power away through the cords and the attachments that we might have to people, especially in our family. Like as children, we have cords of attachment to our parents because we need them. We need our parent figures to be able to survive and to be able to learn and to be able to become independent. So as we grow as children, then and as we seek more independence, then we're going to challenge those cords of connection that we have, and usually sever them so that we can leave the nest and so we can live our lives. So there's a feeling of connection here too, that this is just releasing the unhealthy attachment or cords of attachment that have been placed, and that at this point there's a feeling here to help a situation that it's going to be important to release the hold of this cord, of this attachment, so that a healthier relationship can form itself that's less bound. Now, because this cord already feels like it's frayed and it's not going anywhere except to the front, it sort of feels like a part of this cord has already been detached, if you like, but there is still a very fresh part that's fused here to the front of your solar plexus chakra. Okay, so as I'm saying this, the area where it's fused feels like it's less raw. It feels like the bloody rawness of it is starting to dry up, if you like. It's starting to become less fresh and a little bit more of an older looking fused part. Sometimes the visuals I get are very strange, so I hope I'm explaining this okay, that makes sense. Okay, and as this all dries up, it's like the fused part of the back of this rope is starting to sort of pull away. So all these little pieces of the rope are starting to let go. So like little roots. And as they let go further, it's just sort of pulling away, just retracting just that little bit more. And this is all on the underside of your solar plexus chakra. So now just pouring in this really loving, soft pink light of support, of love, just pouring this in around this fused area and just gently encouraging these little pieces to pull away, that it's safe to create healthier connections now. This feels like a connection between you and a parent figure. And you might find it being mirrored in some way between you and a child figure now. So it's not about you and the child figure. That's a trigger. It feels like the core of this, the source, is between you and a parent figure. So we may kind of think, okay, this might be between you and a child figure, but it actually goes back a little bit further. And sometimes I've found that when I'm having issues with my children or being tested with them, when I actually stop and look back and then look at my relationship with my mother or father figure, there's often, pretty much always, a connection there. So this stems back to you and your parent figure, and a requirement of detachment to create a healthier connection on whatever level is right for you. So as that's been revealed, this sort of suction of this fused area just becomes unstuck. And now I just pull this rope out from the back and drop it down to the earth, where it just returns back to love. and now filling this whole area where this sort of all this rope and stuff was with this beautiful, a bit stronger pink light is coming in and filling all of this area up with love. And this will help not only with your relationship between you and a parent figure, but also the relationship between you and children figures at this time. So it's about healthier relationships. And then I guess we can also say this will also create a healthier relationship between you and yourself. So thanks, Courtney. I trust this resonates. Let's grab an Animal Kingdom Oracle card just to see what that wants to add here. And we've got this here. It's the Macaw card 12. It says bold and daring communication. So this is now about, you might notice that your communications, especially between you and a child, you and a parent figure, you and yourself, it becomes clearer and healthier, because our communications certainly reveal any wounds or power struggles or giving our power away to certain energies like that. So you might find your communications become healthier now too. So think about that in regards to yourself. Are you listening to how you feel? Your communications with your children figures and your parent figures. So thanks, Courtney. I trust that makes sense and resonates. Thanks so much for your support, and namaste. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I trust you're resonating with what's coming through. Thank you for being here. I have 2 more people to connect with. So next is KantiDevi. KantiDevi, you were here before. I'm assuming that you're still here. So let's see. I'm going to grab a drink and a tissue for a moment. Okay, it's been pretty cold here today. Well, I'm really feeling the cold today, I must say. So KantiDevi, let's see what comes up for you. Take a nice deep breath. Now, if you want to be a part of, great. If you want to be a part of next month's healing event like this, if you would like some personal healing time like I'm connecting with now with these individuals, then please have a look on my Patreon page. The link should be in the video description. Just go to patreon.com/Temple of Balance. And if you pledge the $50 or more, then you are added to this healing event. So see if it resonates with you, and you can pull out any time. So you can just do it for 1 month if you want, or regularly if you feel that you would like to. So have a peek if you're inspired to. Here's KantiDevi's. We've got card 1, Enchantment. This feels like the opening of a new path. I feel like this 1 represents new beginnings. New beginnings for you, KantiDevi. Oh, your knees are getting my attention energetically. Oh, and your knees. It feels to me like how I'm seeing your energy now is that you're almost buried in the ground up to your knees. Now, I'm just feeling for what you're buried in. So is this dirt? Is this concrete? Is this water? What is the feeling here? And it feels like the what you're buried in up to your knees feels like it continues to change, because sometimes it feels very fluid, and sometimes it feels very solid. So it's almost like sometimes you feel really stuck and like almost unable to move, and then other times you feel like you're probably walking through mud, other times maybe walking through water. There's a feeling here of almost constantly feeling like you're like it's a lot of effort to walk. Now, I'm not talking about physically, I'm talking about energetically. So we're looking at now, there's a lot of effort it takes just to move forward in your life, to start new things, to implement ideas that sometimes you probably feel quite short and quite tiring to move. So your knees are very much about direction, and the direction that you want to take or the direction that you're going in your life. And in some ways it feels a little unstable and a little, I would say, limiting, because, and it feels like your feet are so cold. Almost like there's not much life force that's going down past your knees. So you might have found too that it's quite tricky to stay grounded, that perhaps, you attempt to stay grounded or you attempt to ground yourself, but it might be very fleeting, like quite temporary. So there's a feeling here of just not much energy coming down past your knees. So that makes me feel that you've been sort of buried that little bit down, wherever you're being buried, in down to your knees. It doesn't feel very supportive or like it's helpful for you in, being your complete and whole self. So I'd really just want to massage these areas. The feet feel very cold and almost lifeless in some ways, almost pins and needles through the feet and down that lower part of the legs. We need to pull you out of here. And it feels like you've just slowly gotten down deeper and deeper and deeper into this, and currently it's up to your knees, and if it keeps going, you're going to end up going further down and almost containing yourself within these limitations of what you face. And I know from having this card, coming up and that strong feeling of new beginnings, that there is new energy that's calling you forward. There is new direction that you're wanting to go, but you're probably not sure what that new direction is. And that's the ungrounded element that's coming in. So it's like a pull from your heart that I know something new's coming up. I know that, I can sense that there's change in the air, but it might be really difficult to anchor it or to realize what it is or the steps that you need to take to do so, because of this sort of quite strong ungrounded feeling and almost a disconnection with the lower part of your body from your knees down. So let's help bring you out of this space, lift you up, and help give you the clarity that you need, the clarity of direction that you might be looking for. And that sense of grounding that will give you that practical element too. So let's just feel, what do we need to do here? I actually feel like I want to dig you out. So right now in this moment, I feel like you're in dirt, quite compacted dirt. It feels dry. So that feels like, to me, if it feels really dry, it feels like there's a lot of mental energy connected with this. If it's very wet feeling, sometimes it feels very wet, that has more of an emotional connection with it. So the dryness feels quite mental. And I see you laying down with your knees buried in the dirt, but laying down on your back. So it's like, from your knees back, that's all we can really see. So your knees are bent and almost seized in some ways. So I just feel like I want to dig your legs out. So digging the ground, digging it out and away. As we get further down, the dirt's getting very grey. So it was very reddish on top, and it's getting greyer and drier as we get further down your legs, right down to your feet. So all the way down to your feet now, and just clearing your feet of this dirt. And then just really gently lifting your legs out. They feel weaker. They feel like the muscles have weakened in these areas. And they feel quite excited to get like the blood circulating again, sort of energetically. So just gently lifting your legs out up onto the land as you lay here flat. Now as you lay here flat, my spiritual surgeons come forward, Marion, and he's placing one of his hands on your heart and the other hand on your belly, or right actually over your navel. And he's filling you up with this really strong blue light. It's not quite electric blue, it's probably a medium to dark shade of blue, but very strong, quite dense, almost like you could put your finger through it and you could feel like it feels very dense. And it's just filling you up with this blue light, and it's flowing all the way down your legs, right down to the tips of your toes. And it's puffing your legs out, the lower parts of your legs up again. So puffing them out, bringing them back to life, almost re-inflating them. And also in your heart. There's a feeling here that there's something in your life that your heart doesn't belong to in some ways. And it makes me feel a bit emotional, but it feels to be there's something about your life right now that your heart is not 100% connected with. And that is likely the source of this burying, if you like. Almost, I don't know if giving up's probably not quite the right word, but I kind of get this avoidance, or either not being able to, or not being the right time to make a change that your heart wants to make. So this is the thing, isn't it, with parts of our life that we might not be happy with, that we have the choice of either dealing with it the same way that we have been dealing with it, avoiding it, getting angry about it, frustrated about it, finding a way to accept it, that this is how it is right now, and I just have to adjust my life around this, or if possible, if it's something that resonates, making the changes that are required. It sort of feels like you're balancing, or not really been able to make the changes yet, but there's a feeling here of trying to work out how do I find acceptance and balance, or lean more towards acceptance rather than the avoiding, denying, trying to run from it, or ignoring that it's there. So I feel like being really honest with your heart feels really important, and finding a way, if you can't make changes at this point, to find a way to accept this is a part of life right now, and find a way to truly accept that. So it feels like it comes to the heart. So your heart's being reinflated too, and revived in some ways. And this will, I feel, will help give you the new direction that you're looking for. The new direction in a more substantial way that's not so fleeting. So that's what I'm feeling, KantiDevi. I trust that makes sense. Let's grab an Animal Kingdom Oracle card just to see what that wants to add here. Oh, my lights went flat. So that's what happened. You got the frog. The frog card 34 says cleanse your environment. So this is about your inner and your outer environment. So you might feel that as part of this healing, and as part of finding an acceptance about whatever it is that your heart's not fully into with your current life, you might find it helpful now to do a bit of cleansing and purging. Maybe a big spring clean around your home or around your living space, and maybe a big purging inside, just to help clear the stuff that you've cluttered, that you're not really okay with, that your heart's not really into. See if you can clear that out perhaps, and look at, okay, how can I find acceptance with this? If I can't make changes, and I don't want to keep being miserable and ignoring this, what can I do to find acceptance? How can I be at peace with this situation or this part of my life at this time? So to find that, I feel like cleansing and clearing and purging might be helpful. So thanks, KantiDevi. I trust this resonates and supports you. And thanks so much for your support. Namaste. Okay, these are quite in-depth, aren't they, today? That means lucky last is Carol White. So Carol, take a nice deep breath. I trust you're all feeling good, everyone that's watching now. So thanks for being here. Let me know how you're doing if you want. So Carol White, take a nice big breath and we'll see what comes up for you. So very much in these moments as I'm connecting, just see what resonates as I'm sharing, let the rest go. If it doesn't make sense right now, it may fit in a few days. Okay, Carol, let's go with this. We've got cycles of change. This is the card that brings through change, and it brings through change quickly. So we could think of this, I think of this as like the winds of change. Bringing through change quickly. So the wind element talks about the mind. So especially changes in the mind. Now, as I'm tuning into your energy, Carol, I'm feeling quite a lot of pressure here around the head. That's kind of wrapping up around here to around the area of the face, around the front, but especially on this left side. So there's a pressure that's coming through here. It almost feels like a growth, actually. It almost feels like a birthmark that's growing and coming here around this side of your face. So that's interesting. I'm being drawn to a very bloated sacral chakra here just below your navel. That's your emotional center. And I'm seeing you've got an umbrella up. So I think of an umbrella as, protecting us from the elements, but especially from water. And maybe from wind, because we can put umbrellas up to protect from wind, unless they get taken away by the wind, but it's usually from water. So protecting from emotion. So there feels to be some protection, maybe a bit of a shell that you've put up to protect yourself from deep feeling that you've been feeling. And that doesn't feel like a bad thing, because sometimes it's required, especially if we feel deep feelings and we're trying to detach or make changes in our life away from that. Sometimes we can still feel a very strong pull of emotion. So sometimes we have to almost be hard-shelled, put that umbrella up so that we can protect ourselves. And we won't always need to have that shell or that umbrella up, but sometimes it is required just so that we can get through this change period. That's sort of what I'm feeling here for you, Carol. So keep that umbrella up as long as you need to protect yourself from the falling emotions that might be falling all around you, but and something you might be observing but not taking on, if that makes sense. So that's not a bad thing. Oh gosh, something's going on around here on your forehead and around your right eye too. So it feels quite heavy and painful. That's coming up around here energetically. So a lot of stuff going on here around your head, around your face. So let's just look a little bit further into that. I'm seeing that you're at a T-junction in your life, and you're actually fast approaching that T-junction where you're going to have to make a choice. You're going to need to make a choice to go this way or that way. And you may be feeling this pending or looming decision that you need to make. You may be feeling that, which might be why there's so much energy stirring up here around your head. It feels like you've taken your heart out of it in some ways. That you've taken your heart out of the decision or out of the junction that you've reached, and you're looking at it very much from a logical, mental standpoint. So I'm just feeling how healthy that is, if you need to bring your heart into it, or if this needs to be quite a logical, mental decision that you make. And I'm feeling it quite mental, so this is something to do with what you need to, it feels like your willpower, your determination is very much connected with this T-junction that is fast approaching. Try not to worry too much about whether you make the right decision or not, but you just need to trust in what's presented, the facts, and what logically makes sense to you, especially with your common sense. Now, it's not going to be often that I would, not say, what does your heart say? What do you feel feels right in your heart? But this feels like it needs to be a very logical, practical, mental decision that feels like your common sense really needs to be weighed up in this decision making. It almost feels like your heart might just add confusion in, and that sort of feels to me that rawness of your heart and that sort of protecting yourself from the wash and the shower of strong emotion that's coming over you. And it's coming over you from some outside source, but it would, if you let it in sort of thing, it sort of feels like it would magnetize to your heart, and you'd just be all this mush of confused feeling. So it feels that this is the best way to do it, is to look at this now from a logical space, to, not fully disconnect from your feeling, but to think of this in a mental way, in a mental approach, and what you're seeing, what you're logically seeing. There's back energy that's moving too over your shoulders. So a burden here that's shifting over your back. Just talking about this, it's already moving. So you've got burdens that are shifting over your back, things that have been weighing you down. And it feels like weighing you down in the heart. Your heart feels really quite worn and open and sort of worn here right at the front of your body right now. So you're just trying to find your balance again and just get some perspective in regards to how you feel and what's going on with your heart. So letting your heart burdens go and letting your heart just sink back into your heart cavity again, instead of feeling like it's pumping out here for everyone to see, and you might feel quite exposed and quite, ultra vulnerable at the moment. So as the burdens are released, it naturally sort of pulls your heart back into your heart cavity, into that sort of chest cavity energetically. So back into place. That's shifting energy here in your throat. So there's truth, I feel, that needs to be faced with your heart back in here. So that in some ways there feels to be a little bit of a voiding of how you feel and the intenseness, but at the same time you're trying to cope and you're trying to survive, if you like, or live your life, or get on with your life is probably better words to use. So as your heart sits back in here, it is stirring up energy in your throat. So there is truth coming up, and recognizing that truth, and then weighing that up with your mental logic also is coming in. So there's quite a lot of mental energy that's coming through for your healing today, Carol. But at the same time, that intense mental energy feels like there is an intense kind of counterpart of emotional energy that's also coming through. And I guess that's another interesting thing perhaps to look at is, your strong mental energy is almost counterbalanced by strong emotional energy. So you might feel quite strong mentally, and then as your emotions settle down, your mental energy will probably settle down too, so you can find more of a subdued balance than an intense balance. It's just like the more we give and the more we care for other people. So like if we had, say, an elderly parent in our care, and they're living with us, and our 24 hours is dominated by caring for this elderly person in our home, then we're giving a lot and a lot and a lot at an extreme. Now, the more we give, the more we need to balance that with receiving so that we can be balanced. So the thing is that there's only so much time in the day. If you're constantly giving because you've got, a dependent child or a high demand child or someone like that in our care, and we're giving so much, if we're not balancing that with an equal amount of receiving, then we're going to be knocked out of balance. So there are times when we have an extreme case of mental energy, an extreme case of emotional or giving energy that we need to try and balance. It's just like that tree. So if we've got a strong, large branch system and a weak root system, that tree's going to topple over. So as part of the balance is the strong branches and the strong roots, but also in some cases it also, we can look at it from these other angles, if you like, from mental, emotional, plus a giving and receiving standpoint. So the energy's loud right now for you, Carol, is the feeling here. So as you let your heart sink back in, as you listen to how you feel too, protecting yourself from some of the intense emotions, but also at the same time hearing them. Because also the more we avoid how we feel, the louder they seem to be. So it sort of feels to me too like if you can listen to your feelings and see them for how they are, maybe write in your journal about them too, to get them out of your body, that will tone down your emotions. That will tone down in balance, in contrast, your mental energy too. So what can you do to balance these parts of yourself? And pay attention to whether you're avoiding the feeling. I mean, it's okay to protect ourselves and put shells up sometimes so that we can survive and cope and get on with our life. But at the same time, we don't want to be, pushing everything out. So see what you need to let trickle in so you can find that balance and create a softer energy between them. So there's less of a pendulum swing. I guess that's another angle to look at this. A pendulum swing from intense mental to intense emotional energy. Can you tone that swing down a little bit so it's less huge and perhaps dominating? Let's see which Animal Kingdom Oracle card wants to be added here for you, Carol, to finish up. And, well, see what it is. So it's this here. It's the cheetah. So the cheetah card 4 says to focus on your strengths. So this is talking about really focusing on the things that are working for you, the things that you're good at. The feeling here, especially as I connected earlier, is that strong mental energy might be a really good thing to focus on in regards to making the decisions that you need to make, to see things from a common sense, practical standpoint, to focus on those two to help you get through this time period. So I guess, it's really about finding your balance, because some days are probably going to be quite good mentally as you're mentally focused. And then other days you might find that your emotions, you're just awash with them. So it just really depends on your day-to-day, moment-to-moment feelings. But the cheetah's message, which is again green's coming through really strong through this healing event, is to focus on your strengths. And use your strengths to help strengthen your weaknesses as well. So what do you feel strong at? What do you feel weak at? This might be another angle of looking at that polarity. And we've talked about polarities, not that I've used that word. So polarities between the mental and the emotional. Polarities between your strengths and your weaknesses. Polarities between giving and receiving. In and out, up and down. Dark, night and day. So the polarities that are playing out, masculine, feminine. What's loudest for you at the moment? And what do you need to focus on to help you find your balance and find your center? So that's the cheetah. I think of the cheetah too as, the cheetah, of course, I'm pretty sure it's the fastest land animal. So it has lots of energy when it's, in that mode of exerting itself, but it doesn't have that energy for long. And it spends a lot of its time actually resting. So then we have that balance as well, though, the polarity between being active and being restful. So there's this polarity energy that seems to be playing out. And it might be really something to look at and work out what you need to do to find your balance in with that pendulum swinging polarity. So the cheetah says focus on your strengths. This card here talks about change and letting yourself move with the changes. So notice if you're resisting change too, perhaps, Carol. So thank you so much. Thanks for your support, and I trust your healing time resonates with you. Thanks, Carol, and thanks so much, everyone, for connecting. It's been wonderful connecting. These have been quite powerful. Thank you. Quite powerful and quite deep healings today. So I trust that something within them resonated with you, and you can take that and work with it. Think about it over the next few days. Feel upon it. See how it sits and how you want to implement it or anchor it into your life. Just a reminder to drink lots of water, listen to your body, and be kind and gentle to yourself, especially over the next few days, and especially if this has stirred up quite deep things for you. So thanks so much for connecting. I look forward to connecting with you again next month if you're inspired to be a patron. So thank you. I think that's all I need to say. If you want to learn more about me and the work that I do, please visit templeofbalance.com.au. Thanks, KantiDevi. Thanks, everybody. Namaste. Bye.